So after messing with my camera settings for like 30 minutes, I finally got the light off my freaking big forehead to finally diminish a little bit. So, so it's gonna be normal color from now on. Hopefully. I might get a better lighting situation, but I think right now, this is pretty good.
Cue the standing ovation!
What an amazing moment. We are blessed.
So with our first story of the day, man, it seems like John Cena has been the topic of conversation for a very, very long time, but even more so now that we're pushing towards the last 2 dates of his 1-year retirement tour, right? And people were watching Monday Night Raw this past Monday, and as someone who was there personally, I feel like it was the best show of the year. John Cena had his final match. He teamed up with Sheamus, he teamed up with Ray, and they fought the Judgment Day. And then his last 2 dates are gonna be him versus Dom at San Diego in Survivor Series for the IC Championship. And then of course his final match, which is gonna be against the winner of the Last Time Is Now tournament at SNME. And the reason why I was bridging into this is because Cena's apparently using his platform to propose what he proposed to WWE, and that was he'd like to see NXT versus main roster talent have exhibition matches at his final show on December 13th at in Washington, DC. This big idea is not really surprising considering the type of caliber that John Cena is. It makes perfect sense that he'd want to do something like that. So my question to you in the comments down below, if they do exhibition matches, hypothetically, who would you want to see face who? I think that's it. I was gonna say and why. You can put that down there if you want to, but the main part is who versus who. So for me personally, if Braun Strowman was still in WWE, I'd want him to fight Obafemi. If we could have a dream scenario, I'd like to see Logan Paul versus Javon Evans. I think that would be a really good match. Let's see. LA Knight versus Ethan Page, I feel like would be a great promo build-up if they can do that right as well. And since they seem to be pushing Dark Side, New Shield from NXT, they could put them against the Usos. I think that might be pretty good as well. And I think since they're gonna have 5 matches total, we're obviously gonna have Cena versus his opponent. I think I mentioned 3 already. I might have mentioned 4, don't know how to count. But yeah, I would say those are probably my picks. Maybe we could also do like Tiffany Stratton versus maybe like Tatum Paxley, or we could have some sort of maybe like fatal 4-way match where we put like 2 girls from NXT, 2 girls from the main roster. So hypothetically, we could do like Charlotte and Bayley versus, you know, for example, like Izzy, Dame, and Tatum if they were still a unit. Because if you guys didn't watch NXT, spoilers, Izzy Dame betrayed Tatum Paxley, thus allowing JC Jane to recapture the NXT Women's Championship. We could even do the Fatal Influence versus, you know, Charlotte, Alexa, and whoever the third person decides to be on that end. We could have like a 3-on-3. Like that would be pretty cool. Like there's endless matches. You know what I mean? Like even if you want to throw Kaylani in there, since is she still TNA Knockouts champion? Regardless, you could throw Kaylani in there and have her go up against like Bianca Belair on the main roster if Bianca was cleared by then. There's so many like what if scenarios. You know what I mean? But enough about that. Let's get back down to what we talked about. So he wants his farewell night to spotlight the future faces and it not just be a tribute special, which was the second point of this article and of my video, right? Apparently they approached Cena and they wanted him to, hey, why don't we do like a tribute show to you specifically, right? And John basically said, nah, man, that ain't it. And the reason why he explained is he said the following. He said, if you do a whole John Cena tribute, 2 things are gonna happen, he told them. You're either going to do too much or too little. You're never gonna please everybody. Instead, he suggested something bigger and far more meaningful, which was pairing top WWE stars against standout talent from NXT in a series of exhibition matches, which would be sick. This concept, Cena said, does a world of good for the wrestlers that will be the future faces of WWE over the next several years. He went on to say, we have a sold out building. Hopefully the world is watching. Humble John. I get to wrestle one final time, but in doing that, everyone else gets to look at what to look forward to. For Cena, the night shouldn't just mark the end of his own legendary run. It should shine a spotlight on the next generation waiting to carry the torch. And I couldn't agree more, man. I think this is one of those things where if they don't really want to like overcap Cena's last match storyline wise, exhibition matches seems like the way to go, because this is how John essentially made his debut. He had an exhibition match against arguably the top person on SmackDown at the time, Kurt Angle, and he went out there and he had a slobber knocker, right? Granted, he didn't find his Doctor of Thugonomics character for a while, but he showed that he had the technical prowess to go out there and hang with someone like Kurt Angle, who was at the pinnacle of his career at that point. I know some people are like, well, Kurt Angle was crazy in TNA. Fair point. I did not see his run in TNA, so I'm going off of what I saw him do in WWE, which at that specific point in time, there was hardly anyone better in regards to the wrestling game. You know what I'm saying? Like, that man was holy. But yeah, with Cena obviously having all these says, he has all these things that he can pretty much like kind of pick, or I guess choose how his final show goes. They even like reached out to Tony Khan about Edge, and he pretty much had this to say. Tony Khan says the WWE never asked him to use Edge for John Cena's farewell tour. However, never say never if they extend his dates. So he goes on to say, quote, I mean, never say never in wrestling, because imagine they could always extend that date past the end of the year, Khan said. But no, Adam's going to be here with us through the year. And here's the thing, right? Tony Khan is very good at not divulging secrets. And what I mean by that is, case in point, in this same exact interview, he was asked about Britt Baker, and he said the same exact thing that he said right before she came back last time. Hey, I love Britt a lot, and I think she's a terrific talent. She's still with AEW, and I'm looking forward to having her come out, blah, 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 blah. Next thing you know, she shows up and interrupts Mercedes Moné, and they had that program. So it's one of those things where, like, we could definitely be seeing Britt back, probably even at this pay-per-view that they have coming up on Saturday, because that's just how he rolls. So I say that to say that if they did actually contact him about WWE, he's not going to tell this man Ariel on a platform that massive, right? He's not going to say it at all, because he's going to keep that a secret, because that's probably how WWE wants it. If they did allow, Adam to go to WWE for that one match, I highly doubt that Tony Khan's going to be like, no, you can't go to WWE. Come on, man. Like, Tony's not a scumbag. Like, he's gonna let Edge go over there and do his thing. And could that really be the final match? I mean, at this point, I don't think so. And then, of course, the last piece that I have for you guys today is that John Cena is expected to headline the Hall of Fame in 2026. Now, I would assume this probably comes from, like, I don't know, what's that podcast that Brian Alvarez is on or something? I feel like he would say something like this, that, John would go into the Hall of Fame, and he might actually be right this time around. I could definitely see Cena going into the Hall of Fame after his final year that he just had in 2025 here, with only 2 more dates remaining. I was right, look at that. Brian Alvarez has claimed that none other than Cena will headline WWE's class of 2026. That'll be held over WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas, and it'll be a grand affair if Super Cena gets inducted. After all, Alvarez says it's very likely that John will headline the class. So I say that to say there's a pretty high chance that it could happen, and I would love to hear how this whole year came about, if Cena really did have any input in creativity, if he didn't, because I know that the Netflix special kind of showed Triple H pitching Cena to turn heel or something like that, and then they discussed it with like The Rock and Cena, and they had all this text, and with Cody and all that stuff. I think it was Triple H that came up with it, right? Like when they showed the Netflix docu-series. But, obviously, they're going to show certain things on there that come from one way. Maybe that was also a little, like, I don't think it was completely pulling the curtain back. I think a lot of that was scripted. I don't think it was completely 100% like raw, if that makes sense. See what I did there, WWE Raw. I say that to, how many times have I said that this video? Good Lord, bro. I need to know better transitional words. I say that because I want to see how John Cena speaks at his Hall of Fame speech. I want to know who inducts him. I want to know what goes on in that man's brain, what went on during this whole year. Cena's always been very expressive in his vernacular and how he chooses to compose and dictate his actions and his verbality and how he expresses himself. So I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say. with that being said, man, thank you guys for watching. I love you all. Love your faces. Subscribe. Follow all the social medias down yonder. Peace.